Gibson Park gets it out to Sexton. A lovely decoy run from Van der Fleer gives Leinster the opportunity to gain a few yards. And Johnny Sexton looks like he is down there at the moment. Shipped a very heavy tackle as he passed away that ball. But Leinster continue on, and Sexton gets his hands on it again. And a short little pass outside, but that's tackling Gibson Park now, and Sexton back on it, and with his left foot sends a kick up the field, and it does get a bounce it needs, and gets into touch just outside the Northampton 22. And Johnny Sexton feels like he had to do that, even with his left foot, because he has gone down and he is in a lot of pain here.
Yeah, he's definitely been hit late there. Happened a couple of times against Lyon a few weeks ago as well. You know, teams really trying to hit him late, trying to get him off his game. And you know, Johnny's tough guy. He doesn't really get too bothered by it. But you know, it's definitely a late hit. So I'm not sure if they're having a look at that here.
Yeah, I think it was Api Ratuni-Arara who actually put in the hit. And if there's a man out there you do not want to be hit by, whether it's late or early, it is that man. He's an absolute monster in the second row. The Fijian, 35 caps, featured for them at the World Cup as well in Japan. But we aren't going to be looking at that at the TMO. It's going to be a line out here for Northampton, just outside their own 22, as Mikey Haywood finds Alex Moon, and they attempt to maul up but aren't gaining too much ground. And Reinach now sends a box kick right up the touchline. It's going to be chased by Tom Collins as well, but James Lowe gets in under it, and he's done brilliantly well to move away. And he's sidestepped Alex Waller with ease and moved back in towards the left and thrown an offload, and Johnny Sexton can't get his hands on it, and it's a knock on from Leinster, and it's turned over by Northampton. Reinach now sees nobody home at the back and sends the ball deep, but it's sat up nicely here for Dave Carney, who's going to counter attack 40 metres out from the Northampton goal, centre of the pitch. He's swallowed up by a couple of Northampton defenders, but Devin Toner among others gets in and finds support drive. And Leinster work it now to James Ryan on the right. Gibson Park, Quaylen Doris with a hard carry as they get inside the 22. Northampton attempt to get in over the ball. Some fans think he might have won it, but it's not the case. And Gibson Park puts another short ball out to Ronan Kelleher for another short carry. Jordan Larmour now on the right hand side of the pitch. A pretty sizable Leinster crowd here making their voices heard. Sexton tries to put it inside to Quaylen Doris, so that's a lovely little ball centre of the pitch. And Doris gains a couple of yards, and it's a turnover, a penalty for Northampton. Quaylen Doris, he was isolated in the end, and it was Tom Wood who got his hands in over that ball and has won the turnover for Northampton, and a penalty and a chance for them to clear their lines 3 metres inside their own 22.
Yeah, Leinster were building really nicely there, and that was all started by a great take by James Lowe in heavy traffic. Makes a really nice line break, and then, you know, just a bit of a 50-50 pass. It wasn't really on, and unfortunately Leinster can't keep hold of it.
So Dan Bigger now to clear his lines and try to get Northampton back into Leinster territory, and he's sent it up and he's brought it, going to be just a few yards inside their own half, but a couple of Leinster players. This game is quite open so far at the moment. Jordan Larmour is finding space when he needs it. James Lowe, as we saw there as well, stepping out brilliantly from the tackle. And it actually seems to be up front where Leinster are probably not getting as much support in as they probably should be. It's a couple of turnovers now, I think 2 against Quaylen Doris.
Yeah, Leo certainly won't be happy with that. You know, early signs of a bit slow arriving at the breakdown. It was a nice switch by Quaylen Doris off Sexton, but they were a bit slow getting to the breakdown to clear that one out.
Jamie Gibson wins the line, and it's brought outside Matt Proctor now, and Matt Proctor is going to step outside and work their way up towards the 22. Right hand side of the pitch, Cobus Reinach now to Dan Bigger, and that's a hard carry from Timana Harrison once again. Reinach goes back towards the left. Oh, and it's a lovely little grubber through, and it's going to be Tom Collins if he can sit up. Oh, it hasn't. The bounce has just got away from him right at the last second. It looked like all he had to do was catch the ball, and a rugby ball can bounce strange, and it did for Tom Collins on that occasion, and it just slipped out of reach for him, and a knock on is called. But we are going to come back for a penalty to Northampton here. Leinster offside. It was a free shot for them, so Dan Bigger has a chance to put Northampton into the lead here. 22 metres out, relatively straight in front of the post, just to the right. What a chance that was for Northampton, though. The ball just bouncing away from Collins.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Sorry, no, absolutely, yes. But just going back to that, Northampton Saints set piece there was, you know, really, really good. And Leinster would be disappointed with that defence. I think, you know, Matt Proctor coming short and Nair Voro coming out the back. So it's a tough read for Gary Ringrose. But you know, I think Leinster have got off the hook there big time.
Yeah, Matt Proctor, he looks like he's going to be a great great signing for Northampton. He made his debut in the Premiership last week against Leicester, capped once by New Zealand, and he had a cracking game. He looks set to make a great partnership with Rory Hutchison, and made 142 metres ball in hand last week against Leicester.
On his Premiership debut as well. What a start that was for him. Had played a couple of times in the Champions Cup. Dan Biggar standing over that penalty and sends it straight between the posts. Bread and butter for him. Top point scorer in the first 2 and a bit rounds of the Heineken Champions Cup. Missed last week's game against the Leicester Tigers due to injury, but he's back this afternoon, and he's having a good game so far. 15 minutes on the clock. Northampton get themselves back into the lead. They lead Leinster here by 10 points to 7 as Johnny Sexton prepares to send this kick-off back into Northampton territory. Robbie Henshaw, as we can see on the near touchline on our left-hand side of the pitch, which has been where Sexton has aimed it so far this afternoon, and he sends it back down in that direction. Ratuni Arara carries it and is tackled by James Ryan and Andrew Porter, but manages to gain a couple of metres as Northampton bring the ball around 5 metres outside their 22, midway between the centre of the pitch and this near touchline. Rannoch once again with the box kick, and Jordan Larmour this time has gone up for it, and it was a knock on by Tom Collins, but it fell straight into the hands of Robbie Henshaw, and Gibson Park tries to move it quickly now. Johnny Sexton and steps inside to Jordan Larmour, and that's a beautiful step to the left. He's got Gibson Park outside him, and Gibson Park, does he have the pace to get to the line? I'm not sure he has, and momentum isn't going to carry him there. What a brilliant last ditch tackle, but Leinster now 2 metres out from the Northampton goal. Quaylen Doris with the carry, moving it back in field. Advantage to Leinster, Northampton offside. Leinster just a couple of yards out. Gibson Park stepping in now, trying to get his hands on it. And is it Rhys Ruddock who's taken it on? Has he got over the line? I think he has. The hand is up, and it's a try for Leinster. What a reply and what a start to this game. We've had 16 minutes gone, and Leinster have their second try of the afternoon. And it looks like it's Rhys Ruddock who has burrowed his way over the line, but once again that was started by some brilliant play from Jordan Larmour. An unbelievable step to the left, puts in Gibson Park. He didn't quite get to the line, but in the end those hard carries for Leinster, and Rhys Ruddock gets over the line for his first try of the season in his 4th appearance.
That's Larmour's third clean line break in this game. He's looking razor sharp.
And it's great footwork as well with the step. You know, there's a bit of space on the inside, gets the ball back inside. Great footwork to get around the defender. And then an unbelievable try-saving tackle by someone from Northampton Saints. Couldn't quite see who it is, but just a metre short. And then Rhys Ruddock picks and goes and gets over the line. Incredible try.
Now, Jordan Larmour was getting a little bit of attention there while Sexton lines up this kick, but it looks like he's okay. He's jogging back towards the team huddle as referee Alex Ruiz takes a drink of water as well. Johnny Sexton with the conversion to come here, just to the left of the post inside the 22. Relatively straightforward kick for him as he looks to send Leinster into a 4-point lead. 12-7 at the moment, or 12-10 at the moment as he stands over this conversion. Just to the left of the post, just inside the 22. And Sexton steps up and puts it between the posts, and Leinster are back in front. And what a start we've had. 17 and a half minutes gone. Northampton Saints 10, Leinster 14. Dan Biggar once again getting ready to kick us off here at Franklin's Gardens, and sends it down just inside the 22. Quaylen Doris takes it, but he's tackled well by Alex Waller as Gibson Park puts it out to James Ryan and sends it out the back door to Sexton, and Sexton finds Ringrose, and Leinster looking to run it out of the 22, and Robbie Henshaw's found space and almost finds Jordan Larmour, but the ball is knocked on and Northampton recover. But we are going to come back for that knock on from Jordan Larmour and a scrum to Northampton. But Leinster really looking to run it out of the 22 there, and they were almost away once again, guys.
Yeah, they're looking incredibly dangerous whenever they get the ball. The back line's absolutely carving up. Robbie Henshaw does really well there, hits the line hard, gets his hands free, and just a little bit hard on the offload to Jordan Larmour on the inside. Can't quite keep hold of it, but yeah, Leinster are looking really threatening, really dangerous whenever they get the ball.
Scrum to come here. This is our first scrum of the afternoon so far. Both sides with pretty impressive scrum record so far. Northampton Saints yet to lose a ball on their own feet so far. Leinster losing just one in the opening 2 rounds. The put in to come though for Cobus Reinach on the far side of the pitch, 40 metres out from the Leinster goal. And it's a free kick to Northampton, and Reinach takes it quickly and gets it straight out, and it's taken up by Naya Ravoro, the Australian winger. Harrison now gets a carry, centre of the pitch, 30 metres out. Ratuni Arawa now is once again stopped by a couple of Leinster players, and it looks like Leinster have turned it over, have they? The ball is presented back, and Gibson Park is going to get his hands on it. Tom Wood is in there trying to win the ball back, but it's to no avail, and Gibson Park sends it left to Sexton, who finds Henshaw and James Lowe, and James Lowe sends a grubber straight down the throat of the Northampton try scorer Asi Tuwala, and the ball just bobbling right at the last second as it fell to him, and it spills out of his hands, and Leinster are going to have a scrum here just outside the Northampton 22 on this left side of the pitch. A little bit of luck there. Oh,
great turnover by Caelan Doris. Ratuni Yawara made a great carry, got over the gain line, and Caelan Doris in there stole the ball. Incredible turnover, and Leinster find themselves just outside Northampton's 22.
Slowly but surely Leinster are starting to get a grip in this game and get a touch more dominant than Saints.
You mentioned Dan Biggar there before. He actually was a question mark coming into this game. I know he pulled out of the game the day of the game when they played Leicester last week in the Premiership, and James Grayson, who'd been doing a match day fitness test, actually stepped in and did a really good job. So they've got great backup there if Dan Biggar doesn't last the game.
Speaking of backup, we got Rob Carney, Scott Fardy, Luke McGrath, James Treacy on the Leinster bench.
Gibson Park now sends it right to Robbie Henshaw, has pulled it outside to James Lowe, and James Lowe gets the ball away. It is knocked back, and they send it out wide onto the right to Rob Carney on the right hand wing, who's stopped brilliantly by Naya Ravoro. But it's advantage to Leinster, possibly for a high tackle maybe, as Tom Wood comes flying out, surely looked offside there. And Alex Ruiz's hand is still out as Leinster work their way into the 22. Devin Toner now playing scrum half and gets it to Cian Healy, who shrugs off a challenge and moves it into the 22. Gibson Park now sends it right. James Ryan with another hard carry as they gain a couple of yards, and Leinster have numbers out here on the left if they want to use them. And Gary Ringrose sends it to Larmour, and Larmour stopped brilliantly by Tom Collins and driven back a yard or two. But Leinster still have a lot of space, and a skip pass from Gibson Park finds Henshaw out on this left-hand touchline. But he's stopped well. Back to Ronan Kelleher. What a player he's been so far. 7 tries in 7 games so far this season for the 22-year-olds. Or 21-year-old even. And it's a penalty for Northampton. Leinster's advantage obviously had come to an end. And it's won back, and straight away it's kicked away by Dan Biggar and sent down well into the Leinster half, midway between the 10-metre line and the 22, and Northampton clearing their lines excellently, but a bad turnover from Leinster to concede.
To Harrison there, once he gets on that ball, Mike, he's pretty hard to move, and I think that's his second turnover of the game.
Yeah, we mentioned it just a bit earlier when Leinster in the 22, they're just slightly slow getting to the breakdown. We're following the ball as the ball carrier carries. The 2 guys coming in to clear out. There's a little bit much too distance, a little bit of separation, allowing the Northampton player to get over the ball and turn it over. So that's certainly something I'm sure Leo, the message, will be given at half time.
Just a 5-man lineout for Northampton here, as Rhys Ruddock stands opposite Alex Moon, and Alex Moon fakes to jump, and they go towards the back, and Devin Toner steals it brilliantly from Mikey Haywood's throw. They read it all the way, and it was tipped back, and James Ryan was the man to get his hands on the ball as Leinster win back another lineout. That's 2 lineouts they've stolen from the Saints so far, as Gibson Park puts it back in field, and Devin Toner, the man who stole the lineout, makes a carry and earns another couple of yards, and Josh van der Fleer, who's been so good in these couple of games, has got his hands on the ball now, as has Rhys Ruddock. Leinster working short phases, just trying to slow the game back down a little after a frantic couple of minutes. Northampton's Jamie Gibson there trying to disrupt things a little, and just put Gibson Park under a bit of pressure, and he's told to go back by James Ryan, who steps in and flattens Gibson. And James Lowe goes up and just volleys the ball backwards in the air, and it's all gone very sloppy, but Cobus Reinach has come away with it for Northampton. How dangerous he can be on the counter-attack, and a brilliant tackle by Devin Toner, and a combination of he and Johnny Sexton gets the ball out. But the referee's whistle has gone. A very very convoluted, couple of phases there, and in the end it has come back for a Leinster knock on. Northampton are going to have possession with a scrum put in 40 metres out from goal, straight in front of the posts.
A bit of a yo-yo of possession, but it was a great turnover in that. A steal in the line-out from Dev Toner, showing his experience, 67 caps, 52 starts for Ireland, and really showing he's been looking at the Saints line-out during the week, and stole it there. And then another great bit of play by Johnny Sexton. It was a good tackle by Dev Toner, and Johnny just gets in and rips the ball out of his chest, and another important turnover for Leinster.
It must be so hard though, Mike, if you're in opposition forward pack, trying to get an organised line out against someone like Dev Toner and James Ryan.
Well, exactly, and Dev's still growing. He was 6'10" last year. Now he's 6'11". So
he's like a salmon. He's like a salmon out of water.
Yeah, it is very difficult, because basically wherever Dev Toner's standing, you need to throw where he's not standing, because if your throw's not exactly on the money, Dev can easily steal it. So,
but we could see it. I mean, that line-out was just directly in front of where we're sitting at the moment, and you could see the movement Northampton had trying to put Leinster off. But Devin Toner, he was just going with them the whole way. He was just biding his time, and in the end, he had the height that when he wanted to go up, he was able to do it. That scrum to Northampton, Cobus Ryan coming right with it, giving it to Asi Tuala, but he stopped well just outside the 22. A few Leinster fans calling for a forward pass there, but to no avail. Ryan now to Dan Bigger and Alex Waller, one of the couple of Northampton players in the squad who were involved back in 2011 when they made it to the final. He played in the final, came off the bench that day. Tom Wood was also involved that season, but he didn't get to play in the final. He was out. I think he broke his leg around that time. But it's going to be a penalty here to Northampton. Leinster team not rolling away. Andrew Porter, the man that was called on it. And an easy opportunity here now for Dan Bigger to take another 3 points and cut this Leinster lead down to 1 point. Around 28 metres out from goal. We are going to stop for a break and play here as Alex Waller receives a little bit of treatment. But Leinster just need to control this penalty count, guys. We've seen it over the last couple of games, just how easily Dan Bigger can pick off penalties. 8 of them in the opening win against Leon. That really was the difference between the two sides. Yeah. And he's such a prolific kicker on top of it. Yeah,
discipline's important at all times, but especially when you're away from home, you've got to be really disciplined. If you give penalties away, teams just normally kick to the corner and get their maul going. You saw Leon came here a couple of weeks ago. I think they gave 20 plus penalties away. You're just not giving yourself a chance to win the game. So discipline is an area, as we know, Ireland and Leinster really pride themselves on, and again, messages at half time to tidy up the discipline.
Dan Bigger confidently strokes that kick and sends it straight between the posts, and we are back to a 1 point game here. 26 minutes played at Franklin's Gardens, and Leinster just about in front. They lead Northampton by 14 points to 13. Just looking through some of these stats as well. Devin Toner, already leading the Leinster tackle count. 4 tackles, none missed so far. Obviously Leinster haven't had to do that much defending in the game so far, but
in 239 games for Leinster, though, Dev Toner's never scored in Europe, so I'm really hoping he gets a try today.
Surely they can organise a little mould for him.
I think so, yeah. Let's.
Johnny Sexton sends the kick in the direction of Tom Collins once again, and he's tackled by James Lowe just inside the Northampton 22. And Ronick sends it out to Tom Wood, who tries to drive his way towards that white line at the edge of the 22. Centre of the pitch here, Cobus Ronick looking like he's going to go back towards the blind side, the near side of the pitch, to Dan Bigger, who sends it straight down into touch. And Jordan Larmour has it all the way. He's going to look feints as if he's going to take a quick one, but ultimately decides we'll stick with the line out. Leinster with the throw into it, around 3 or 4 metres inside the 10 metre line, or inside the Northampton half.
That's a great exit by, we spoke about Leinster's exit at the beginning. That's a good exit by Northampton. And Dan Bigger, he played so well in the World Cup for Wales with Gareth Anscombe out, and he's just so important for Northampton.
6-man line out for Leinster as they overthrow it from Ronan Kelleher. Tried to get into the hands of Devin Toner, but just made it too far. But they have recovered the ball coming out the back there, and a really strong carry from Josh van der Fleer sends the Leinster player out of the way. And Andrew Porter there has just body flipped one of the Northampton players who had stayed down. I am sure a TMO is going to be looking at this. While play has been turned over and intercepted by Northampton, who've worked their way back now. Mike Haywood it was who was tackled by Andrew Porter. Nairavoro there gets it out to Tom Wood. Northampton still inside their own half, working their way into the middle of the pitch. Matt Proctor now gets his hands on it, jinking to the right, then back to the left, and he's stopped by a combination of Van der Fleer and James Ryan. Reinach finds Haywood and slips it back to Dan Bigger as Northampton look to spread it out wide to the left here. Rory Hutchinson to Jamie Gibson. And Gibson has Tuala. And it's stopped, and Tom Wood now with another hard carry as Northampton get to within 35 metres of the Leinster goal. Back on the blind side. Back on the blind side they go and work their way up towards the 22. And Reinach now to Gibson, and once again they work that ball back, and Alex Waller takes a carry, but Robbie Henshaw stops as well, and Devin Toner comes flying in. Referee says ball went backwards as Devin Toner got his hands in over Cobus Reinach, and Dan Bigger spots a gap where that all had been and puts it out to the left, and Jamie Gibson hard carry back against the grain. Northampton now just 15 metres from the Leinster goal. Reinach pleading with the ref, the ball is slow to come back, and Ratuni O'Hara stopped unbelievably by Devin Toner, who is putting in an incredible number of tackles early on in this game. Ratuni O'Hara stayed down, but advantage to Northampton has come. Aaron Painter now with a short carry. Reinach moving it back to the left to Dan Bigger, and Rory Hutchinson finds Tom Collins, who stopped brilliantly by Dave Carney, who found his way all the way out onto this left wing. Northampton still just inside the Leinster 22, working their way from right to left and back again. Going back towards the left, Aaron Painter tried to give it to Ratuni O'Hara, who knocks on the ball. But we are going to come back from the Northampton penalty. Alex Ruiz had been playing advantage.
Yeah, great defensive set there from Leinster. Stuart Lancaster will be really happy with that. Northampton were building really nicely, some great interplay with the backs and forwards, getting over the gain line. But you saw there a huge impact tackle from Dev Toner and James Ryan, driving some of their big men back. And Dev's really showing up, being a real nuisance around the park, and really showing his frustration not going to the World Cup.
It should be another fairly straightforward attempt for Dan Bigger at these posts as well, just to the left of the post, very similar to the one he had earlier on. Johnny Sexton at the moment over pleading Leinster's case with our referee Alex Ruiz, who's clearly getting a little bit impatient with the Leinster players. That's 5 penalties they've conceded now in the opening 30 minutes of this game, and Johnny Sexton is told to walk away politely, I think, by the referee, as Dan Bigger prepares to line up yet another attempted goal. 3 from 3 so far. This would be his 3rd penalty on top of the conversion he slotted. And he barely takes a step back before slotting it straight between the posts. And Northampton go in front here for the 2nd time this afternoon. It's been real back and forth stuff in the opening 30 minutes. Northampton Saints 16, Leinster 14.
Back and forth stuff, like you're saying there, but it's unbelievably entertaining here. 2 teams really going toe to toe. It's almost like 2 heavyweight boxers. It's a bit like, hopefully it'd be like Ruiz and Joshua tonight with, Appy, can't even pronounce his surname here.
Ratuni O'Hara.
Ratuni O'Hara, like going, head on with big Dev Toner. It's great stuff.
What are you thinking for Joshua Ruiz?
Would like to see Ruiz beat him again, but I think Joshua may have his medal this time.
Ruiz has put a stone on, hasn't he? And Joshua's lost a stone, I think.
Joshua's lost 10 pounds, yeah.
Ruiz weighed in a stone heavier than he did, but this time round he was like wearing his shoes, he was wearing all of his clothes, and I think a sombrero as well as he did it. So I'm sure they added
back to it, lads.
A couple of bit of pounds, but we are back underway here as Ratuni O'Hara gets his hands on the ball, and I think one of the Leinster players took a bit of a hit there. Ronan Keller in the end stopped him. Mike Haywood now works his way out of the 22, and Quaylen Doris is the man to halt him in his tracks as Ronan Keller tries to free himself. Referee spotting Tom Wood there and telling him to get his hands off the Leinster hooker. And Cobus Reinach now just outside his 22, prepares to clear the lines. Box kick, sending it down the tram tracks. Jordan Larmour has his eyes on the ball and watches it all the way and catches it right on the halfway line. Gibson Park looking to move to the left, and he's got James Lowe on the overlap. Rhys Ruddock provided a nice little decoy, and James Lowe back to Gibson Park. And was he tackled early? Our referee says it was a knock on. Johnny Sexton, for what it's worth, has picked up the ball and dotted it down, but the whistle had already blown, and we're going to come back, and it's going to be a scrum to Northampton around 5 metres out from their goal.
I actually think the ref might be going to the TMO here. I think Gibson Park may have actually not touched the ball, therefore it'll be play on, and Johnny will have scored. that's if Gibson Park hasn't knocked it on.
And if that's the case, then Johnny Sexton is a very smart man, because almost every other player on the pitch stopped what they were doing.
Absolutely.
And he carried on, picked up that ball,
I think
and dotted it down in the corner.
John Joe Shelby did something similar for Newcastle United there during the week.
Now, we could also possibly be looking to check and see that was it an early tackle on Gibson Park, which stopped him from actually catching the ball. But we're going to see here, it certainly hits Gibson Park.
Yeah, the
pass back inside from James Lowe.
I don't think it was early. I think he just drops it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
He just drops it.
Does he drop it onto his leg? Is the question. No, Alex Ruiz seems happy enough with what he's seen. It doesn't look like we're going to have a Leinster try, but Johnny Sexton certainly smart to have picked up the ball and carried on. Oh, and we are going to have a Northampton player spoken to here. A lot of confusion. Dan Bigger has been called over to chat to the referee, as is co-captain Alex Waller alongside him. Referee dishing out some instructions. We're yet to get an indication what his decision is going to be. It looks like Dan Bigger has been given a little bit of a telling off. No try, says the referee, and a knock on is the call. Ultimately, we're trying to figure out what was Dan Bigger being told.
I think the ref was having a word with the players about screaming and shouting at him and appealing for stuff. But I know Northampton are ahead on the scoreboard here by 2 points, but to me, Leinster look like they're playing with so much energy. They look really comfortable. They're looking really fit, and I actually think the Saints' body language, I feel they're starting to tire a little bit.
Yeah, I agree, especially when you say they're looking fit. They're looking really good.
And even looking at the numbers, 276 metres with the ball in hand already. Just 6 kicks from Leinster. They're really trying to run it. They're really trying to wear out this Northampton team. As Northampton feed the ball into the scrum, and it's a hard carry from Harrison to work his way just outside the 22. But Josh van der Fleer gets his hands in on it. Doesn't win the turnover though. Northampton retain possession, and Reinach is going to once again clear the lines. James Lowe and Jordan Larmour ready and waiting down just inside their own half to collect it, and it's in the direction of James Lowe, but Tom Collins has made a good move towards it, and Lowe knocks Collins out of the way and gets his hands on it, and back into Jordan Larmour, who retains possession for Leinster. Devin Toner almost knocks it on, but keeps it in his hands as Leinster get onto the halfway line. Gibson Park now out to James Ryan, who's supported by Rhys Ruddock, and James Ryan still going and pumping the legs, gains an extra 3 or 4 yards in the end as Gibson Park goes back towards the right, and Robbie Henshaw hit very late there, it looked like, but play on, says the referee, and a knock on from Leinster is the call, and we're going to have another scrum to Northampton. Leinster eventually working their way inside the Northampton half, but a knock on in the end, and another unfortunate turnover for Leinster. Matt Proctor was the man who forced that. But a couple of hard hits coming in there on the Leinster players.
Absolutely, yeah, I reckon that was probably timed to perfection from Proctor there. Another second or millisecond there that would have been late. Now he's shown his experience now from playing down for the Hurricanes and obviously capped by the All Blacks.
Would have worked with the director of rugby here at Northampton, Chris Boyd, while he was at the Hurricanes. Won a Super Rugby title down there as well in 2015, and has really shown in these first few games that he's been involved with Northampton that he is a bit of a player. 2 brilliant tries and a brilliant turnover from Leinster. A scrum penalty won. Cian Healy, the man in the end, is judged to have done the damage on Aaron Painter, who stands there, hands on his hips, shaking his head. He doesn't agree with it, but the fact of the matter is a penalty to Leinster. Just inside their own half of the pitch, on the far right side of the pitch. Johnny Sexton is going to kick it down into the corner. 34 minutes on the clock. A great platform for Leinster if Sexton can move this well in, and it looks like he can, around 15 metres out from goal. Leinster trailing by 2 points, 16 points to 14. But guys, a great attacking platform here.
Yeah, we spoke about at the beginning about the 2 Franks brothers are both out, so they're really missing that experience. Dylan Hartley's recently retired, so there's a lot of experience gone there, but Cian Healy really showing his experience there. A brilliant penalty, and that's a real momentum shift and could be massive going into half time here.
Ronan Kelleher missed Devin Toner the last time round, but finds him easily as Leinster look to set up a maul. And can Ronan Kelleher get his hands on it at the back of the maul? 7 tries in his 7 games so far. He has possession. Leinster gently moving towards the line, but Gibson Park decides to move it now and sends it left to Johnny Sexton. Sexton now out to Jordan Larmour, who tries to gain a couple of yards, but he's stopped well. And Leinster knock back a yard or two as Northampton scrambles some defenders. Gibson Park sends it left to Rhys Ruddock. Sniping from the left is Gibson Park. Leinster around 10 metres out from the Northampton goal now, and the ball is spilled, but it's going to come back. The referee, has he blown his whistle? He hasn't, or he has. And we're going to stop here while he decides what he's going to do. The ball did look like it had come back onto the Northampton side. James Lowe still wrestling to try and get his hands on it, while we wait and see what the call is. Was it a knock-on from one of the Leinster players? It certainly was. Johnny Sexton being told that he spilled the ball in contact. And once again a Northampton scrum. Leinster, a couple of handling errors, just trying to maybe do a little bit too much with the ball.
Yeah, they build it. There's plenty of times they're building really nicely in the 22 and getting over the gain line and showing some really good shape, and then, you know, just a slight poor pass or, you know, just a bit of a fumble. So they'll be frustrated by that going into half-time. I'm sure what the key messages at half-time will be, they'll touch on the discipline and they'll touch on the 50-50s, you know, not forcing the pass, just to remain patient, keep building phases, and the opportunities will come.
And actually in the end, I think there was a word put into the referee's ear about an infraction there from Cobus Reinach. And it is a penalty for Leinster now. It has been turned over. And Johnny Sexton is going to go into the corner with this. He should be able to get this as close as possible to within 5 metres from the goal. He's only about 10 yards out, just inside on the right-hand side of the pitch. And he sends it into touch. And once again, this is a second brilliant attacking platform here. Cobus Reinach was the man who was penalised for a little over-exuberance, maybe, I think, after the scrum had been awarded. As Leinster slowly walk into the line-out. Cian Healy at the front, Josh van der Fleer at the back, and Devin Toner calling things. What a time this would be for Leinster to get a try and get back into the lead as Quaylen Doris takes it. And Jamie Gibson has worked his way in and around, and has he managed to get his hands on the ball? Gibson Park has it though, as off the ball Devin Toner gets tangled up, and Gibson Park tries to snipe and dive for the line, but he's stopped by Ratuni Arawa. Leinster just 2 metres out from goal, trying to build the short phases. Andrew Porter now protecting the ball as Rhys Ruddock supports Andrew Porter there. And Quaylen Doris now carries with Ronan Kelleher in behind him. And a Northampton player lies over it. Is he able to get away? Cian Healy now standing there, has dived for the line. And as Cian Healy made it, a couple of his subs think he has. And the referee's awarded a try. Leinster back in front. Their third try of the afternoon. And it's Andrew Porter in the end who's coming away getting the back slaps. And Cian Healy. We're going to have to see who actually got the final touch. And it's Andrew Porter in the end who's awarded it, sprinting back towards the halfway line. And what a game this has been so far. 2 minutes before half-time. Leinster back in front for the third time now. They lead Northampton by 19 points to 16. Johnny Sexton's conversion to come to make it a 5-point game.
Yeah, that's a huge moment with 2 minutes left before half-time, when it was started by the front row and finished by the front row. The scrum penalty by Cian Healy, and then the build-up phases going into it. A good maul set that didn't quite get over, and then it was Andrew Porter, I think, getting over to score the try. So I'm sure the front row union will be taking full credit for that in the review session. He
really is such an incredible servant for Leinster rugby, Cian Healy. You know, he's already been to a World Cup. He's had a lot of rugby in him already, and he's out here playing some great stuff.
And you consider as well, he's started 4 of the 5 games Leinster have had since returning from the tournament. And the amount of game time he would have had during that. He is well into a season already that a lot of players mightn't have played a lot of rugby in. And Johnny Sexton had the chance to extend this lead to 5 points just before half-time. Midway between the touchline and the centre of the pitch, just outside the 22. Silence falling around Franklin's Gardens. Johnny Sexton 2 out of 2 so far, and can he make it 3 out of 3 to put Leinster into a 21 points to 16 lead? Sexton steps up, but it's drifted to the right and wide. He never really connected with it. Leinster do remain in front, but it's only by 3, and with 1 minute until half time, they lead the Northampton Saints here by 19 points to 16. Leo Cullen making his way down to the changing rooms, as is Chris Boyd, director of rugby here at Northampton Saints. We are going to have time for one last play here. There's 30 seconds of game time left. Dan Biggar preparing to kick us off for the final time in this first half, as Tom Collins sprints up, but Toner protects Quaylen Doris well. He gets his hands on it, and surely Leinster are just going to see this out for a couple of seconds and kick the ball dead and send it into touch. Gibson Park goes to the left to Rhys Ruddock. James Ryan gets in over him, as does Toner. Cian Healy barking out instructions, and Gibson Park looks all around him, waits for these last couple of seconds, and just kicks it out into touch for the final play of this opening half. And what a brilliant first half of rugby it has been. 4 tries so far, or 4 tries so far, 3 for Leinster and 1 for Northampton Saints. Leinster leading here by 19 points to 16. Brendan and Mike, your thoughts so far?
Yeah, it's been a cracking game, really. You know, if it had to be an advertisement for rugby, it's really showcasing it. I think Leinster are slightly more dominant than Northampton, but when Northampton get that power play in with Tamana Harrison, Happy Rachani Uara, Naira Voro, you know, they look really good, and Ryan and Biggar pull on the strings, and then you have, you know, I think when Leinster turn it on, they look so organised, they look so well drilled, and you know, Jordan Larmour for me has been the standout player in that first half.
Yeah, Leinster will be, you know, really pleased going in at half time. The coaches should be very happy. Away from home, 3 points up. Arguably they should be up by a bit more as well. One thing to take into account with this pitch here is there is a slight slope. So Leinster have been playing up the slope. I played here in 2013 when we played the back-to-back games. We beat Saints here by about 30 points, and then the next week we lost at the Aviva. So you can't be complacent, you know, when you go into that next game. But yeah, there is a definite slope here, and Leinster will be playing down the hill in the second half. So maybe that's something to factor in. But Leinster looking very comfortable. If they can just tidy up the discipline and looking after the ball, stop those 50-50s, I think it's looking very positive going into the second half.
Is that discipline key, Brendan, for the second half? I mean, 6 penalties conceded so far, which has allowed Northampton to pick up 9 points straight off the back of them. It's not even the fact that there's 6 penalties conceded, but is it the position on the pitch that they're being conceded in? Yeah,
absolutely. Like you said, you know, the quality of Dan Biggar's goal kicking. You know, he's one of the best goal kickers in the world, and you know, he'll punish you from the tee, and then you know, if it's a bit further out, he can, you know, his pinpoint touchline kicking so accurate, and it really does get Northampton into the game nicely.
I think the other one as well, looking to the second half, is the bench. I think the Leinster bench looks a lot stronger, a lot more experienced. You know, when you look through it, like James Treacy got his 100th cap against Leon last week. You know, Ed Byrne, Tyke Furlong to come on. So I'm not sure really the reason behind why he wasn't starting, other than, you know, he's a question mark over his back going into that Leon game. Scott Fardy playing the World Cup final in 2015. So, you know, Max Deegan, Luke McGrath, Ross Byrne, Rob Kearney. The experience of Rob Kearney to come on when, you know, in a tight, close game, and he's a big game player. So I think, you know, the discipline and then the bench to come on, I think it's all looking in Leinster's favour going into the second half.
So Leinster 3 points in front here at half-time at Franklin's Gardens. 3 tries to 1 in their favour as well. The first of those coming from James Lowe, touching down under the post after a brilliant break from Jordan Larmour, put him away. Rhys Ruddock then followed that up on 16 minutes before Andrew Porter's try just before half-time got them back in front after Asi Tuala's try had got Northampton level in the game. Dan Biggar's conversion putting them level before 3 penalties for him has kept Northampton very much in this game. They've conceded 3 tries, only scored 1, but they are only 3 points behind Leinster. It's Leinster who lead here at Franklin's Gardens at half-time by 19 points to 16. And it's time now we can hand back to John in the studio in Dublin.
Well, thanks very much, Neil, Brandon and Mike. Remember, our rugby coverage brought to you by Vodafone. Team of us, everyone in. Everton 2, Chelsea 1 in the Premier League. Richarlison putting the Toffees in front. Dominic Calvert-Lewin making it 2-0. And Mateo Kovacic pulling one back for Chelsea. So that game in the melting pot, 61 minutes on the watch, and the Championship leads set to go top 1-0 up away to Huddersfield. This is Off the Ball, Saturday on News Talk. You can text us on 53106. We want your views on the FAI and Irish football ahead of the football show from 3. But back with Leinster in a moment. Don't go away.
Northampton Saints versus Leinster, live from Franklin's Gardens.
On Off the Ball.
At Renault, we're on a mission to drive down carbon emissions. So we created Renault Carbon Rewards, rewarding you for choosing a cleaner car with savings of €3,500 guaranteed on the all-new Renault Clio. For more rewards across our cleaner Renault range, visit Renault.ie or drop into your local Renault dealer today. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply. Deposit required subject to lending criteria. See Renault.ie.
Everybody reacts differently to the shocking affordability of the Dacia Duster. The opportunist. I've heard enough. Where do I sign? The skeptics. Zero deposit. Too good to be true. And our competitors. Shocked into silence. The Dacia Duster from just €75 per week and absolutely zero deposit. Whatever your reaction is to Ireland's most affordable car brand, there's one waiting for you. Visit your local Dacia dealer today. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply. Subject to lending criteria. See dacia.ie.
Have a cracking Christmas with Centra. We have great offers, like Jacob's USA Biscuit Tin, only €8.50. Coca-Cola 20-pack cans, only €8. And our cracking offer until Sunday, selected 12-pack cans like Guinness and Budweiser, any 2 for €20. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
All you need this Christmas is carry-out off-licence. Make your money go further with our incredible deals on box beers, multi-pack cans and wines from all over the world. Plus our amazing Eastern European selection, such as the fantastic Perla beer range, now in stock. Fill your cupboard for less this festive season. Carry out off-licence. Simply better wines and beers. Simply better value. Enjoy alcohol responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie.
Give them something a bit different this Christmas. A taste of authentic Japanese cuisine with a Yamamori gift card. Available from our 3 Yamamori restaurants on South Great Georgia Street and Lower Ormond Quay. Or buy online at yamamori.ie.
Last chance for our Black Tag sale at Curry's PC World. Give the gift of coffee this Christmas with savings on DeLonghi, Nescafe, Dolce Gusto and more. The Bosch Tasmo Happy is now only €35. Save an incredible €50 on the Bose QC35 wireless noise-cancelling headphones, now just $299. Or grab a great deal on our Nintendo Switch and Switch Lite bundle offers from $259 with games like Luigi's Mansion 3. We won't be beaten on price, so get in-store or online at currys.ie. T's and C's apply.
Make it festive this Christmas at Woody's. Get merry and bright with LED lights, now half price. Add some festive cheer with artificial Christmas trees, up to 50% off. And deck the halls with all Christmas decorations, now up to half price. Woody's. We're all homemakers. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop.
Battery low.
Not on our watch. At Christmas, in real life, you can fill your senses and your baskets. We're laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. In real life, you can browse with the most advanced search engine, your eyes. We heart in real life. Dundrum Town Centre.
Switch to Air Broadband this Christmas and get Amazon Prime Video on us for a whole year. Enjoy thousands of movies, TV series, Amazon Originals, and the Air Sport Pack on us. With unlimited broadband for just $49.99 a month for life. Call 1-800-500-300, go in store, or visit air.ie. Air. Let's make possible. New customers only. 12-month contract. Subject to availability. Bundle activation fee may apply. For full details and terms, see air.ie/Prime Video.
All you need this Christmas is carry-out off-licence. Make your money go further with our incredible deals on box beers, multi-pack cans and wines from all over the world. Plus our amazing Eastern European selection, such as the fantastic Perla beer range, now in stock. Fill your cupboard for less this festive season. Carry out off-licence. Simply better wines and beers. Simply better value. Enjoy alcohol responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie.
Volkswagen Financial Services have launched a new product that will transform your business. Interested? It can remove depreciation costs on your entire fleet, free up cash flow for your business, and with fixed monthly payments, your fleet costs will always be the same. Sounds good, right? It also has a low cost of entry, and if your driver needs assistance, they'll call us, not you. And this product's name? Leasing, from Volkswagen Financial Services. So whether your business requires 1 or 100 vehicles, our leasing product can benefit you. To learn more, visit vwfs.ie/leasing or call into your local authorised Volkswagen, Audi, Seat, Skoda or Volkswagen commercial vehicle retailer today. Terms and conditions apply.
The bed scrappage scheme and Black Friday event ends today at Flanagan Kearns. Time to change that mattress or bed? Well, now's the time. Purchase a new mattress or bed and we'll give you up to €50 for your complete bed or up to €30 for your replaced mattress depending on size. We've also got great Black Friday deals throughout the store. You also get free delivery, free assembly and free recycling of your replaced bed or mattress. The bed scrappage scheme and Black Friday event ends today at Flanagan Kearns. Southern Cross Bray, exit 7 on the N11. Flanagan Kearns, furniture for life.
Northampton Saints versus Leinster, live from Franklin's Gardens.
On Off the Ball.
And it's an early Christmas cracker we've got for you with this live and exclusive commentary game. Northampton 16, Leinster 19. Back to Neil Treacy at Franklin's Gardens shortly. The Premier League, Everton playing Chelsea at Goodison into the second half. Shane Pennington.
It's Everton 2, Chelsea 1, and Everton really should be home and hosed in this game. They've had more chances since Chelsea pulled that goal back. Morgan Schneiderlin with a curled effort, just saw his effort go wide of the left-hand post. And then Theo Walcott, again from an angle on the right-hand side of the penalty area, saw his effort well saved by Kepa in the Chelsea goal. Until Everton kill this game off, they're going to give Chelsea an opportunity to get that back in it themselves. At the moment, though, Everton failing to take the chances. Could it cost them? It's Everton 2, Chelsea 1.
Thanks for that, Shane. Now Liverpool, the leaders, away to Bournemouth at 3 o'clock. Tottenham with Troy Parrish on the bench at home to Burnley at 3 as well. The other 3 o'clock game is between Watford with Nigel Pearson to take over after the weekend against Crystal Palace. The Manchester derby has a 5:30 start. Manchester City against Manchester United at the Etihad Stadium. Leeds set to go top of the Championship. They lead Huddersfield Town by 1-0. Now, on the football show at 3 o'clock with Daniel McDonald, Johnny Ward and Damien Delaney, we're going to be speaking about the FAI. We want your views on the state of Irish football. Can it be saved? 53106 at a cost of 30 cents. Niall Quinn was speaking to Ger Gilroy yesterday about the need for change now at the FAI.
There's so many things here that aren't even looked at from what's in place now. But I am confident that there are young people out there. There are great people coming into football. I think the Shamrock Rovers CEO is a brilliant, bright guy. Brendan, there's Shelburne. There's young people coming into the game now at a level. I think there's loads of room for that. If we can build an association that makes room for brilliant, bright young people to bring the old school away from the major decision making. Yeah, great to have grey hair helping you with that. But I do believe there's a new world ahead. I think it should be younger people running it who are doing it in a more educated way, and leads to everything of coaches being better prepared to be employed in this country. The whole game could be lit up. It really could, I think, with a rebrand, with an input of great commercial brilliance, passion, emotion, ambition, but honesty. Above all, honesty. And I think if one thing comes out of today, it's that football really has to be so visible in this country now. It cannot hide behind the cloak and dagger approach that brought it to its knees. It's time for a new beginning.
I spent my Saturday morning going through the statistics and the facts from those FAI accounts. It's absolutely grim reading. But 53106, we'll discuss that on the football show after 3 o'clock. We'll also have a bit more cheer discussing the Premier League. But now time to go back to Franklin's Gardens, our early Christmas cracker, live commentary of the second half of Northampton and Leinster in the company of the great Neil Treacy, Mike McCarthy and Brendan Macken.
Thanks, John. Yeah, it has been a great first half here, and the Northampton Saints choir are out on the pitch getting the fans ready for the second half, and Mike McCarthy clapping his hands there. You can probably just pick it up in the background.
Come on, Dev!
A big fan of Devin Toner he is. Before the second half gets underway and before the teams come out, I might just remind you that off the ball, we are going to be in Galway this coming week on Wednesday the 11th. We're going to be in the Galmont Hotel for our latest Heineken Roadshow. We're going to have Brian O'Driscoll there. We're going to have Will Greenwood, Andy Friend, and Tiernan O'Halloran from Connacht, and also as well the great Cyril Farrell is going to be alongside all the guys.
What about Devin Toner?
What about Dennis Buckley, or would you not get him along, Big Den?
Well, Connacht are supplying those guests for us, so they're giving us 2 Connacht legends, Andy Friend and Tiernan O'Halloran. But if you want to get tickets, go to offtheball.com/events, and remember this is an over 18s event only, and in association with Heineken, and do remember to drink responsibly. Still waiting for the second half to get underway and the teams to come out. But guys, what do Leinster have to keep an eye out for in this second half? Discipline was the major thing we were saying beforehand.
Yeah, discipline, and I think one man we haven't really mentioned in the first half, but is Cobus Reinach, World Cup winner. He's got electric pace, scores a lot of his tries through interceptions, and he's joint top try scorer last year in the Premiership with Denny Solomona, so he's a really dangerous player. So Leinster are really going to have to watch out for him as a front 5 forward myself. Once you start tiring on about 60-70 minutes, he's a guy who can add a real spark out of nothing, create a try. So they have to really be careful of Reinach as the game goes on.
Yeah, and even in the opening 2 games of this competition, 5 clean breaks, 156 metres from him, 3 offloads thrown in on top of that as well, all in the space of 2 games.
So you'd be getting tired after 45 minutes, Mike?
Well, I used to, yeah. That's right. There's Devin.
What's my point? I mean, speaking of, like, you know, joking about tiredness there, but the gulf in class between the benches is huge.
That's ridiculous, yeah.
I mean, there are only what, 1, 2, 3 players on the Northampton bench that have been capped internationally. You look at the experienced Leinster of Rob Kearney, 95 Irish caps. Even someone like Luke McGrath, even though he's only has 19 caps, he is as experienced a player as you could have for Leinster. His captain Tyke Furlong on the bench as well, and Scott Fardy in on top of that too.
Absolutely.
Technically, the whole Leinster squad is experienced because they used 57 players in the Pro 14 in Champions Cup last season. So that, you know, a lot of guys, even the younger guys, have got experience. So when they get their opportunity to step in, they normally stand up and put their marker down and play really well.
Both sides now out on the pitch as Leinster prepare to kick us off. The Northampton Saints players just finding their positions. Leinster going to be playing down into this hill, as Mike McCarthy was explaining to us at half-time, into this near corner on our right side of the pitch. It's where the slope is, where the Leinster players are down, where Leinster subs are down warming up at the moment. Referee Alex Ruiz just doing his few final checks, getting us ready to get the second half underway. Doesn't appear to be any changes at half-time in this game. Jordan Larmour just checking out the quality of the football, and it looks like we are ready to go. Whistle's blown, and Johnny Sexton taking a couple of final bounces of it, and he's going to kick it off to us, and it goes straight down the throat of Alex Moon, who gets his hands up, helped by his prop Alex Waller and Timana Harrison as well. Toner getting in on top and disrupting things, but Northampton keep a hold of the ball, and Gibson once again is just getting his hands on the Leinster players, holding on to them a little bit long. He was warned about it in the first half, and Van der Fleer there was appealing for it, but the referee didn't spot it, and the ball was cleared in the end down in the direction of James Lowe, and Lowe puts it back inside to Johnny Sexton, who chips over the top, and Dan Biggar catches it and takes a mark safely about 15 metres out from his own goal on the far right side of the pitch, and a clearing kick to come.
I think Leinster now in the second half will probably try and turn, you know, Naira Ravoro. He's obviously he's a man mountain, and I think going forward he's exceptional, but turning he is probably a weaker part of his game, so I reckon they'll look to kick in behind him.
And Dan Biggar kicks it down and just sends it a safe enough kick in the end. Puts Leinster 35 metres out from the Northampton Saints try line. Ronan Kelleher on the far side of the pitch finds Rhys Ruddock with the line out option, and Leinster try to maul it and gain a couple of yards as Tom Wood tries to shift his way up the far side of that maul and disrupt Leinster, but it looks like Gibson Park is going to get his hands on it. Robbie Henshaw now standing at first receiver, and Sexton jumps in behind Jordan Larmour, or outside Gary Ringrose, and gets to Jordan Larmour, and Jordan Larmour's found space, tackled brilliantly though by Rory Hutchison, and Gibson Park stops it, and a hard carry from Robbie Henshaw brings it up to 5 metres out from the try line. Gibson Park looks left. Johnny Sexton is down around 40 metres out from the try line as Leinster continue to play on. Gibson Park now to Rhys Ruddock. Toner in, latching on and driving him on as Leinster work their way to around 3 metres out. Arm is out from Alex Ruiz. Do we have advantage as Leinster go in search and have potentially a free shot and try to get this bonus point sewn up early in the second half? No advantage in the end for Leinster. Rhys Ruddock now with another carry. They remain around 7-8 metres out from goal, and Johnny Sexton is still down just inside the Leinster half, and he looks in a lot of pain, being treated by a couple of Leinster medics. It looks like his right knee is what's troubling him as Leinster continue to pick and go and work their way down the blind side. James Lowe getting now to within around a yard or so from the try line. They go back towards the blind side once again. Another short carry, but it's stopped by Northampton. Coylan Darras moves out of the way as Cian Healy prepares to take a short little carry. He's driven back another yard or so. This is very good defence from Northampton, slowing down the Leinster attack as James Ryan tries to carry it and only gets a yard or so. Andrew Porter with that try just before half time, the latest to carry it up, and Alex Moon gets in on top of Toner. And Leinster are going backwards a couple of times. Johnny Sexton, though, is in a lot of trouble here. He's on his feet, but he's being helped off the pitch as Ross Byrne prepares to come on. And Sexton looks in a lot of pain. He's seriously limping. as Gibson Park gets the ball out to James Lowe. Leinster retain possession now. They're right in the middle of the pitch, 6-7 metres out. Gary Ringrose now switches it back inside to Jordan Larmour, and Jordan Larmour tries to wriggle his way up to around 5 metres out from the try line. Gibson Park goes right to Ronan Kelleher, the player of the season so far for Leinster. 7 tries in his 7 appearances. Another short carry, and this time Cian Healy gets in, and Cian Healy has worked his way over, and Leinster have their bonus point right at the start of this second half. A perfect time for Leinster to strike, just as they did at the start of the first half. They've done it again at the start of the second, and it looks now like Leinster are getting daylight between them and the Northampton Saints. That is the bonus point sewn up regardless of what happens, and Leinster with a conversion to come from Ross Byrne, who's now on the pitch. They lead the Northampton Saints by 24 points to 16.
Yeah, that's great work by the forwards, you know, with Johnny Sexton worryingly so gone off the pitch. He actually started the move initially, but it looks like he's done a really nasty injury there, but the forwards pulled their sleeves up. They just picked and went. Good latches, people binding on, driving the guys through the collision, and Cian Healy getting over the try line there for the bonus point try. Yeah, we just saw the injury to Johnny Sexton came up on the screen in front of us. He was working the ball out to the right hand side to Jordan Larmour, and just as he passed he was tackled. It wasn't a particularly hard hit or a late hit, it was just as he was tackled and passing that ball, he did appear to kind of go down and twist his knee ever so slightly, and it looked like a painful one. Yeah, it looked really awkward, so hopefully for Johnny and for Leinster he's alright. Yeah, clearly worrying when you see a talisman going off Johnny Sexton, but you know, Ross Byrne comes on, he brings a huge amount of experience. And Ross Byrne's first action is to slot a relatively straightforward conversion. Opportunity knocks for him now, and I think the most concerning part really of that Johnny Sexton injury was how he was being helped off the pitch even while that play was still going on. Ross Byrne was ready to come on. They knew that was a game-ending injury straight away, but a big opportunity now for Ross Byrne to steer this home. Leinster have the bonus point, and they lead Northampton by 24 points to 6 by 26 points to 16. Dan Biggar sends the ball out to the right, but Quaylen Doris once again, who's carried brilliantly so far in this game. Yeah, the ex-Blackrock man's having a cracking game. They all are, I suppose, Brendan, are they? Oh, and Robbie Henshaw brilliantly moves, gets the ball out to Gibson Park, but he doesn't have anyone in support. Cian Healy tries to come in, but Gibson Park doesn't see him quick enough, but Leinster do have it now. Van der Fleer gets it out to Porter, and Porter to the new man in, Ross Byrne, who's tackled just outside the 22. Play on, says the referee. A couple of Leinster players were looking for a potential high tackle call, but another short carry and Leinster get into the 22. Rhys Ruddock now, as Gibson Park prepares to go right, then goes to the left and gives it to James Ryan. James Ryan, who stopped, and Andrew Porter gets in. Oh, and Quaylen Doris has found a gap straight through the middle. He's stopped though in the end by Tom Wood, but it's advantage to Leinster, and Ross Byrne just on the pitch, 2 minutes, and Ross Byrne has run it in on the overlap, and touchdown, try number 5 for Leinster. They are motoring now. They lead Northampton Saints by 31 points to 16. They just can't really live with Leinster's physicality in the second half. I think Mike touched on it towards the end of that first half, that Northampton's body language is starting to get a bit tired, and it's really starting to show now. And Leinster have upped it, and Saints right now actually can't really live with them. You know, that try started from the kickoff. Yeah, and it's important to remember what a quality side Saints are. You know, they've only conceded 9 tries in 5 games. They're top try scorers in the Premiership. They're top of the table, and you know, Leinster are making Northampton look very ordinary. And it was the same when they played Lyon 2 weeks before. Lyon were top of the table, hadn't lost at home since March, and you know, Leinster just playing incredibly well. And there's that man Ross Byrne scoring the try. He was unfortunate to miss out on going to the World Cup with Jack Carty just getting that last spot, but you know, what a reliable guy to have in backup to come on and replace Johnny Sexton. Great little break there from Quaylen Doris, picking up through the middle of the ruck. And to add insult to injury there for the Northampton Saints, their co-captain, loose-head prop Alex Waller, has been sent to the bin for just a bit of lazy play, hanging around that ruck and trying to slow things down just before Ross Byrne eventually got it in. It didn't work out for him. He's gone to the bin for the next 10 minutes. So Northampton have fallen 15 points behind Ross Byrne with a conversion to make this a 17-point lead. Oh, and he strikes it off the left-hand upright. Not to be for Ross Byrne. He misses his first of the afternoon. Lovely switch from Larmour and Robbie Henshaw there to start that off. And Robbie Henshaw was able to get his hands away to Gibson Park. Found really well.
So 31 points to 16, Leinster lead, and some daylight now between the sides. Mike, we were speaking about it yesterday on OTBAM, the dynamic of these back-to-back games. Like, I mean, you were speaking, you played back here in 2013, you came here and you won. And I think a lot of people would assume if you're able to go on the road and get that away win, that big win, it makes things a hell of a lot easier the following week when you're at home. But that didn't work out for you on that occasion when you were beaten by Northampton back at the Aviva Stadium.
Yeah.
Oh, and a big chance here. A lovely step from Tom Collins. But James Lowe has stopped him brilliantly. What a break that was. And he finds Nair Avoro. Oh, great offload to Cobus Ronick, who spins out of the tackle. And what an opportunity this is for Northampton. Straight out of nothing. We said they had the potential to do it. A hard carry from Harrison, and all of a sudden are Northampton going to get themselves back into this game and give themselves a chance of coming away with something. Oh, that's a huge tackle from Rhys Ruddock. Rhys Ruddock and Dan Bigger now skipping inside. Northampton just 5 metres out from the try line, straight in front of the posts. Cobus Ronick, penalty given away by Leinster, but the whistle had blown. Ronick tried to take it quickly. He was told it wasn't from the right spot, so he's going to have to come back and take it from the right spot. Dan Bigger, though, does take it quickly this time and sends it out to Mikey Haywood, and Haywood to Nair Avoro. Nair Avoro stopped by James Ryan, who's slow to get out of the way, and the ball is out, and Jameson Gibson Park tries to get in on top of it, but Tamana Harrison gets his hands on it as Northampton managed to retain possession 10 metres out from the try line. Alex Moon now with a short carry, but he's stopped by a couple of Leinster defenders. Mikey Haywood this time, as Josh van der Fleer has his hands on it, and he's won the penalty. Josh van der Fleer, a brilliant turnover for Leinster. Danger over for now. Possibly a bit of a let-off for Leinster after that outstanding break from Tom Collins. But a huge opportunity for Ross Byrne to clear the lines, and all down to the brilliant work from Josh van der Fleer getting in over that ball. And another steal for him.
Yeah, a great D-set by Leinster once again. You know, even when their line's breached, the work rate, the effort to get back and reset the line, get good width, get good spacings, and get off the line again, and to meet that ball carry is exceptional. Josh van der Fleer there again, he's got a serious engine on him with a great turnover. But Saints were building really nicely there, and Collins made a really good little break. He complements Nair Avoro really well. He's really quick, really elusive, but Nair Avoro's ability to get the ball free, carries the ball like a loaf of bread. He's tackled by 3 or 4 players, and he still manages to get the ball free.
Tom Collins, of course, actually, we were speaking while that break was about to happen. Tom Collins, who played in that game as well in 2013, he was only 19 years of age at the time.
Right.
Just a kid.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that game here too. A lot of similarities between this game I see today. You know, Leinster free scoring that day 2013. We had a great game. We were cutting them to absolute ribbons. Scored a lot of tries, and then the following week at the Aviva, a full house, we got turned over. And maybe there was a bit of complacency going into the second week. You know, we'd had a really good win away at Franklin's Gardens. We'd won by about 30 points. And, you know, you only have to be a top-level sport. You only have to be slightly off, you know, a couple of percent, and you can get turned over. And that's what happened to us in 2013. So, presuming Leinster go on and win this, I'm sure there'll be a lot of lessons learned looking back at that 2013 situation going forward.
Substitution made by the Northampton Saints while we were talking there. Tom Wood has come off the pitch, open side or blindside flanker, to be replaced by Lewis Ludlam, one of their returning England internationals from the World Cup. Ludlam making just his 5th appearance from the season, having returned from Japan. And I think a bit of a sigh of relief from some Northampton Saints fans as well, as Cobus Ronick had been down getting some treatment, but he's been strapped up and he's ready to go again. While we were talking also, I could see on the screen Johnny Sexton taking his seat in the stands in front of us, jacket on. He didn't look particularly pleased. I'm sure it is going to be the talk of Monday, how that is going to look. We're obviously not going to find out more until we hear from Leinster and he gets that scan. But as we speak, Northampton Saints turn over the ball at the line-out, and Lewis Ludlam gets his hands on it. Cobus Ronick goes out to the right towards Dan Bigger, who finds Rory Hutchinson, and Nair Avoro, who's got on the ball a lot more in this second half, but he spills it, holding the ball in one hand, and it's Andrew Porter who comes away with it and gains 10 yards up the left side of this pitch. Devin Toner standing in at scrum half gets the ball to Ruddock as Van der Fleer gets in over him, and Gibson Park gets it out to Ross Byrne, and Byrne is tackled and gives it to Henshaw, who's stopped. Gibson Park goes right again to Ross Byrne. And Byrne swings it out to Larmour, and Dave Carney now, who has a little bit of space to work with, and he is stopped in his tracks by Timana Harrison with an absolute cruncher of a tackle that we could feel from right up here in the press box. But he's done brilliantly to get that ball back and retain possession for Leinster. Ross Byrne now dummies to throw left, but goes back to the right and spins out of a tackle. Leinster 10 metres inside their own half. 52 minutes played here at Franklin's Gardens. You're listening to Off the Ball this Saturday. Leinster against Northampton Saints. Leinster leading by 31 points to 16. We're on the air on Off the Ball this evening until 5 o'clock. Coming up at 3, John Duggan's going to be joined in studio by Dan MacDonald, Johnny Ward, and by former Republic of Ireland international Damien Delaney as well on Skype to talk about a pretty busy week in sport. And, Gary Ringrose could find himself in a little bit of trouble here. Advantage is played to Northampton and time is stopped. Gary Ringrose with a tackle on it might have been Jamie Gibson, I think, the Northampton Saints flanker. Straight away puts his hand up to apologise, but he certainly turned him above the perpendicular, above the 90 degrees. And Gary Ringrose wisely walks back into position, trying to get as far away from the referee as possible. Alex Ruiz goes to speak to his assistant referee, and Ringrose, thoughts on that, guys? We can see it on the screen in front of us. He just lifted the legs a bit too much.
He definitely tips him, but he lands on it. He lands on his arm. He doesn't land on his shoulder. I think it's worse if he looks a lot worse if he lands on his shoulder. His arm's able to break his fall.
On Dan Bigger in the end.
There's not a whole lot of malice in it at all, really.
I think Caelan Doris coming in as well might slightly help with the, tipping him up a bit.
Has Dan Bigger done Gary Ringrose a bit of a favour by putting his arm down to soften the fall?
Yeah, and Dan Bigger, you've seen it in a few games. He's it's great sportsmanship. He does that. He's a great bloke and a great person. He's it's good to see, to be honest.
And as we speak, he's actually over just having a quick word with Gary Ringrose, telling him there's no hard feelings. But Ringrose is being called over by Alex Ruiz, our referee. Rhys Ruddock now standing captain while Johnny Sexton is off the pitch. And Gary Ringrose is going to spend 10 minutes in the bin here. It's a yellow card for Gary Ringrose. As Leinster prepare to ring the changes, they have 4 players ready to come on. An entire new front row about to come on. James Treacy, Ed Byrne and Tyke Furlong already, as is Luke McGrath, who's surely going to be coming onto this pitch in place of Jamison Gibson Park. He's got a fine day here at Franklin's Gardens.
Yeah, that's huge impact coming onto the bench. After 52 minutes gone, Ed Byrne came out on last week against Glasgow, and Leinster actually struggling a bit in the scrum, and Ed Byrne came on and really steadied up the scrum. And then Tyke Furlong coming on, it's not looking good for the Saints.
On Tyke Furlong, is there a point this season where Andrew Porter is actually going to start putting him under pressure for a place? Because Porter is clearly having a huge impact in every game he plays so far. We might break for a moment here as Rory Hutchinson gets his hands on the ball and works his way into the Leinster 22, but Rannick gets his back now and dummies to swing it left, but he's tackled and is taken to ground. Lewis Ludlam now has his hands on it, but driven back by a yard by Tyke Furlong, ready to make a big impact. Heavy strapping on Tyke Furlong's left arm actually at the moment. Rory Hutchinson now, and that's a hard carry. A hard carry by one of the Northampton players as Ruiz puts his hand out. Northampton have a penalty advantage. Tom Wood now, not Tom Wood, the latest to carry. Haywood out to Hutchinson. Hutchinson has Matt Proctor outside, and what a brilliant tackle that is from Dave Carney. A last-ditch effort, wrapping himself around the legs of Matt Proctor and stopping him. Lewis Ludlam gets it and is stopped and takes it on again. Haywood with a big ball inside into Ratuni Arawa, who knocks it on, but we are going to come back to that penalty for Northampton. The referee Ruiz had been playing advantage. They're going to have a penalty. Offside was the infringement, and around 18 metres out from the try line, just to the right of the post, Dan Bigger is going to have a chance. He kicked 3 penalties in the first half, but they need tries right now, and he sends it straight into the corner of the pitch with 54 minutes gone. You do feel Northampton are going to need a try maybe in the next 10-15 minutes or so if they want to get back into this game.
Yeah, and a good opportunity for them here. That Leinster a man down, Saints a kick to the corner, and they have got a good drive and more. We haven't really seen it yet in this first half, but they've got, as I said, they've got some big heavy guys in there, so if they can get it set, get a bit of momentum, they'll be certainly looking to get some change from this maul here. But great try-saving tackle probably from Dave Carney. He just chopped him round the ankles, got him to deck. Really good tackle.
Mikey Haywood now preparing to throw into the line-out as he finds Alex Moon and comes in around the back and gives it to Naira Vora, who just knocks it on 5 metres out from goal. Tried the hard carry, but just couldn't get his hands on it. It hasn't really happened for Naira Vora today.
Yeah, and I think that's partly due to as well the defence of Leinster. As I said before, they always have a great line, really good width, really good spacings, and they meet the ball carriers. They don't give you time and space on the ball, and probably Naira Vora is used to having a bit of time and space on the ball, but Leinster just eat up the space every time he gets the ball. So I think there's a bit of frustration there. We saw it against Leon as well 2 weeks ago. Leon are one of the best try-scoring teams in the top 14, but they got frustrated and they tried to force things. They started giving 50-50s, and as the game goes on and Saints aren't getting any traction on the scoreboard, they're starting to offload 50-50 passes, which aren't really coming off for them.
It was Josh van der Fleer again with that tackle on Naira Vora. He sized him down brilliantly. Like, no matter how big he is up top, if you don't have your legs, you can't run.
And we can see him directly in front of us now. He's actually come off the pitch temporarily because they needed to bring on a replacement prop. Francois Van Veek is into the team because, of course, Alex Waller is off the pitch, still in his sin-in. As Naira Vora takes a seat down in front of us. It's actually his birthday today, guys. 28 years old today, so he is. Hasn't gone too well for him so far, though. Big birthday weekend for the Northampton Saints, actually, because Lewis Ludlam tomorrow as well. He's going to be 24, and Connor Tupai, who's yet to come onto the pitch, their sub scrum half, he's turning 20 tomorrow. So they're going to want to win, get some celebrations going.
Birthdays all round.
Exactly.
Great scrum there by Northampton Saints, actually. I think Leinster quite lucky not to concede a penalty there, to be honest.
But Northampton have actually turned it over, and Leinster have the ball now. They've won it back as Luke McGrath goes to the left to James Ryan, just trying to work a couple of phases, get the right field position before clearing their lines. And McGrath, it looks like he's going to box kick now. He sends it a low enough box kick, but straight out into touch, and he's only really cleared it as far as the 22. So a good attacking platform here for the Northampton Saints, who, as we said, are going to need something pretty soon. They've made another change as well onto the pitch. Has come England international Piers Francis. While Naira Vora is also back on. Alex Waller's sin bin is finished, but he is going to stay off the pitch. Francois Van Veek is going to stay on. And the man coming off now for Piers Francis is their try scorer, Asi Tuwala.
It's going to be a cracking battle between Luke McGrath and Gibson Park with that number 9 jersey now, especially that Gibson Park's Irish qualified. And he's two pretty fine players to pick from.
It does make life a hell of a lot easier for Leo Cullen as well, because it was something that had been an issue over the last few years, only being able to play for Europe anyway. 2 of those 3 of James Lowe, Jameson, Gibson Park and Scott Fardy, and all of a sudden you can see it on a day like today where he's able to have all 3 available to him. There's another sloppy knock on from Northampton. The game suddenly getting a bit disjointed, guys, as we approach the hour mark. 57 minutes gone.
Big time. It just shows, if you're a replacement like Piers Francis is, his concentration isn't where it should be, when you're not starting a game, and he'll be disappointed with his first touch.
Yeah, a number of unforced errors from Saints, 50-50, just knocking the ball on there under no real pressure. So from a Northampton perspective, they'll be really frustrated with that when they're trying to build pressure on the scoreboard, keep the ball, build phases. But from a Leinster perspective, there's a big thing Brendan will be aware of that in the Leinster camp they use is no talent moments. So guys fighting for everything, for when it looks like a guy's over the line to score, a no talent moment is someone working their backside off to get back and make a tackle, make a difference, and change a game. You don't have to be hugely skillful to do that. You just got to want to do it. You just got to want and have the desire to do that.
The changes coming quickly now as the game becomes a bit stop-start. Mike Haywood, the latest to walk off the pitch, the Northampton Saints hooker. He's been replaced by number 16, Michael Van Vuren. 28-year-old Englishman, played 8 games so far this season across.
He's a darts player, isn't
he? Michael Van Vuren. Van Vuren, Mike.
I signed from Bath this season. That's it. That's the one.
You were thinking of the other guy. You were thinking of the other guy. As we're not missing much, by the way. This scrum getting reset. It's collapsed, and a bit of a pushing and shoving between Lewis Ludlam and Josh van der Fleer.
We've touched on the boxing, we've touched on the darts. Back to the rugby.
Exactly, yeah. Not much to see at the moment, though. Alex Ruiz just having a quick word with all the front rows. For Northampton Saints, we did talk them up a little bit before this game. They have flattered to deceive at times.
Yeah, and rightly so. You know, as I said, the top of the Premiership, top try scorers in the Premiership with 20. Really good defensive record. Frantic Gardens, incredibly tough place to come and play. And it just shows the performance that Leinster are putting in. And as I said, the same with Leon last week. Top of the top 2 weeks ago, top of the top 14. Leinster made them look very ordinary.
And now we are back underway. The scrum finally getting completed. Quaylen Doris breaks off the back and breaks well, gaining around 10-12 yards. As Luke McGrath gets the ball into the hands of Scott Fardy. And another carry now from Tyg Furlong. A lot of subs trying to get their hands on the ball early, make an impact, get themselves into the game. As James Lowe takes it now, and Leinster begin to work their way back in field, and James Ryan very nearly lost it, but managed to get his hands back on the ball and retain possession. Leinster just outside their 22, midway between the centre of the pitch and our near touchline. Luke McGrath kicks it right-footed. Not too much distance on it though, and Tom Collins gets underneath it well and manages to get a hold of it as Cobus Reinach tries to break quickly, and Michael Van Vuren darts his way down the left side of the pitch. Reinach now plays it out to Paul Hill, who's just come onto the pitch in the last few minutes as well. 5-time England international, all of those caps though coming a few years ago at this stage, and they get it wide to Matt Proctor now, who has looked dangerous the few times he's got his hands on the ball. And Proctor gets it into Tom Collins, who's stopped there wide on the right. Reinach now tries to work it back in towards the left side of the pitch. And once again Dan Bigger now dummies to the left, but he's stopped well by Ross Byrne, who stood up in the tackle. Devin Toner gets out of the way to try avoid a penalty and does so, and Scott Fardy gets in and stops it, but can he roll away in time? The ball is there to be played, and Reinach gets it and gives it to Van Veek. Van Veek now gains a yard or two as Cobus Reinach comes back to the left, and Rory Hutchinson dinks a little right foot kick over the top. And how's it going to bounce? It's going to bounce straight into the hands of Jordan Larmour, who clears very well and gets it up towards halfway. And Naira Vora now gets his hands on it and moves to the left and shakes off a tackle, and a brilliant last-ditch effort from Scott Fardy stops him just inside the 22. Reinach now out to Michael Van Vuren, his sub-hooker, and Reinach snipes to the right and breaks away as Northampton get to within 10 metres of the line. Tom Collins now to Ratuni Arawa, but another big tackle there by James Treacy as Leinster slow down possession a little. Dan Bigger, that's a beautiful move out towards the right. Tom Collins now, can he get towards the line? Stopped well in the far corner of the pitch. Northampton Saints just a couple of yards out now. Alex Moon, but he's driven back brilliantly by James Ryan. Ratuni Arawa now carries to within 2 metres as Reinach gives it to Jamie Gibson, who's stopped by Josh van der Fleer. Northampton just going one by one out towards the left. Dan Bigger now gets it out to Matt Proctor. Matt Proctor's stopped by Jordan Larmour as Northampton continue to keep hold of the ball, but Leinster defending well and keeping them out. Ross Byrne gets in on top, or Robbie Henshaw I should say, gets in and stops it, but the ball works way out to the right and it just doesn't go through the hands for Northampton, and it's a forward pass.
Leinster just looks so unbelievably comfortable in defence. You know, Northampton they look shattered. You know, Leinster look so comfortable, and you know, Saints guys' body language, hands in their knees, you know, hands in the backs of their heads. Say Leinster are delighted with this phase of play, with their ring rows obviously in the on the naughty boys chair, Mike.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, you touched on it there. The Leinster defence is just so well organised. They've always, even with a man down, they always look like they've got a good line, good spacings, as we said. And it was a great last-ditch tackle from Fardy there on Naira Voro, because he'd actually broken a few of the Leinster tackles and looked like he was through. And Fardy just dived at his ankles from behind,
like he wasn't there. Swatted Luke McGrath like he wasn't there. And a reminder as well that Leinster were doing that with 14 players, because Gary Ringrose while we were just speaking there, has come back onto the pitch to bring Leinster back up to 15. Max Deegan is the latest Leinster player to come on, as a bloodied Quaylen Doris makes his way off the pitch. He has put in a huge shift this afternoon, particularly with the ball in hand. A lot of really strong carries from Quaylen Doris so far this afternoon. 14 carries for 55 metres. James Ryan, the only one who's actually carried more times, 18 carries for him this afternoon. Rhys Ruddock getting his hands on the ball 15 times as well. So some really hard yards being made there by some of those players, but I think it's out wide in those wider channels where Leinster have really gained ground. Jordan Larmour up on 108 metres for the afternoon off just 9 carries.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. He's looked so sharp on his feet.
Josh van der Fleer also putting in a great shift as well. 12 tackles so far this afternoon, as well as a couple of
I'd love to see Leinster
very important turnovers.
I'd love to see Leinster have a crack here now again around Naira Voro's channel, because he just doesn't, he's not moving well going backwards, and with the threat of Larmour, Dave Carney, he could be in a bit of trouble.
Northampton did make a change while we were getting set for that scrum. James Grayson, son of the 2000 Heineken Cup winner and Saints legend Paul, is onto the pitch in place of Dan Biggar.
Yeah,
Grayson, who had an outstanding game last week, called in at the last minute to take on the Leicester Tigers. As Northampton get their hands on the ball now, Naira Voro with a bit of space to work with just inside the Leinster half, but he's stopped brilliantly by Devin Toner, who's made his I think it's his 12th tackle of the, or 13th tackle of the afternoon. And Ringrose calls for high tackle against him while he's just back onto the pitch for a moment. Naira Voro stepping in at scrum half, sending it to the right, and Grayson now shot up by Robbie Henshaw, but the ball gets away in time to Tom Collins and stepped inside by Matt Proctor, who's done brilliantly well, and Matt Proctor's still going, and it's Josh van der Fleer in the end who wraps his arms around him and stops him just as he gets inside the 22. Centre of the pitch, Cobus Reinach moves to the right and finds Lewis Ludlam. Ludlam is stopped by Max Deegan just onto the pitch in place of Quaylen Doris in the last few moments. Alex Coles now at the carry as they get it out to James Grayson. Matt Proctor stands in at scrum half and sends it to Piers Francis, and they work it out towards this near side of the pitch as Naira Voro gets his hands on it, but he's stopped well by Dave Carney. And Tom Collins now playing scrum half as Cobus Reinach gets back into position, and Reinach, that's a lovely pick-up off the ground by James Grayson, but Northampton called back for a forward pass, just trying to push things out a little bit too much on Leinster, who are defending very, very well and very comfortably. A huge disappointment there. I think
it's one of the few times that Leinster got caught a little bit narrow, forcing Robbie Henshaw to make a decision and jump out the line, just create a little bit of a space for him to make the break. But it's that ability to work back from a line break from Leinster, the eagerness, the willingness, the hunger to get back, reset the line and make a difference. You know, against most teams that would probably be a try, but a collective effort from the squad to get back. Josh van der Fleer nearly turning the ball over there actually.
We actually have a couple of Northampton players down at the moment. Cobus Reinach is one of those as well, and it looks like his day is done. He's hobbling quite badly. And there's also a Northampton player down on the ground at the moment, receiving a bit of treatment. Slowly getting back up, it's Alex Moon, the second row, who we can just see now. Cobus Reinach getting a big ovation as he comes off the pitch. He is one of those players, guys, that does get people excited just with the way he moves, the way he plays, the pace of the game that he plays at.
Yeah, big time. He's absolutely rapid. Like some of the tries he scored last year in the Premiership, you know, 90-metre, couple of 90-metre efforts. His acceleration's unbelievable, and you know, like you said, he gets the Northampton faithful here. He gets them on their feet.
Yeah, he's got that X factor we mentioned earlier. Joined top try scorer in the Premiership last year with Denny Solomona. Scores a lot of his tries through interceptions. So, you know, World Cup winner now as well. Huge amount of experience. So, worrying from a Northampton's perspective to see him going off the pitch.
Yeah, Alex Moon leaving as well now, and it means that Tom Wood is going to have to come back onto the pitch. They've also brought on Connor Tupai, who I mentioned is turning 20 tomorrow. Connor Tupai.
I think his dad was a Northampton Saints legend.
He was. He played here for a few years. Paul
Tupai.
Yeah, Paul Tupai.
You would have played against him, Mike, probably in the late 80s, would you?
Very good, very good. Yeah, I think I did.
But for Connor, who was actually born in New Zealand, despite growing up locally here in Northampton, just his 7th game for the club, viewed as a real prospect for the future. And as I say, still just in his teens for a day more at least. As we prepare for this scrum, Leinster's Luke McGrath to put the ball in.
Next break and play, we can ask Brendan how Sean O'Brien settled into London Irish.
Absolutely. Can't wait to hear about that. He's only arrived a few days ago, I believe.
He arrived.
Free kick for Leinster, though. Sorry to interrupt. Free kick for Leinster off that scrum. And it looks like they're going to pack down again. And that does give us a minute. How has Shawnee settled in?
Shawnee settled in well. Now London and Carlow are two pretty different places. So I think he's adjusting to life, and he's getting stuck into his rehab. Look forward to seeing him on the pitch.
Leinster opting to kick that, winning a free kick in the end, and sending the ball out to our near touchline. They're just inside their own half, but the throw is going to be in for Michael Van Vuuren for the Saints. He's got a few options to work with. Ludlam tries to go up, but James Ryan gets his second line-out steal of the day. Leinster's line-out has been absolutely fantastic. That's the 3rd clean steal they've taken off the Northampton Saints. Oh, but they've given away a penalty. Unfortunately, it was Josh van der Fleer, I think, or Andrew Porter, who didn't roll away. Van der Fleer and Ed Burns, both running away from that. And after that great steal from James Ryan, his second line-out steal of the afternoon, disappointing for Leinster to concede that.
Yeah, and with Dev Toner obviously not going to the World Cup, it gave James Ryan a real opportunity to work on his line-out calling, and to be able to do that at such a young age is pretty incredible.
Is he up there in terms of choice for a potential Irish captain this season?
I think he has to be, like to have won a Pro 14, a Champions Cup and a Grand Slam at his age is it's pretty incredible.
Line-out taken from the Saints, and James Grayson finds Naira Voro and Lewis Ludlam now, and once again another Northampton Saints knock-on. That is one of several they have had inside the Leinster 22. A number of opportunities coughed up. But it has to be said, all down to the pressure Leinster are probably putting on them.
Yeah, it's frustration as well. And look who it is again, Dev Toner. The work rate. I know I'm a big Dev Toner fan and he's my favourite player, but he's gone through an exceptional amount of work today. And he's not just making, soft tackles. He's putting dominant impact tackles, driving them back. So really, he's actually coming off the pitch now.
Give him a wave there. Just see, does he see you?
Nice, Dev. Oh, he's waving to me. Yeah, chat to you later.
Brilliant afternoon's work for Devin Toner, in fairness. As much as we're joking, 13 tackles for him this afternoon, a good few carries as well.
He's still not scored in Europe, though.
He still hasn't. Yeah. We'll see, does he do it next week? But it was Quaylen Doris who actually came back onto the pitch there, having had a little bit of blood cleaned up off him. Bandaged up and back onto the pitch. 12 minutes to go here at Franklin's Gardens, and Leinster well on course for maximum points. They lead the Saints by 31 points to 16 as Max Deegan just pops it out to Luke McGrath, who clears the lines but doesn't really get too much distance on it. Only sends it to just outside the Leinster 22 on our near side of the pitch. And I think probably in the last 10 minutes or so, with the amount of mistakes Northampton are making, Leinster defending a lot, the game has kind of just lost a bit of its edge.
Big time, yeah. It's lost the fluidity it had in the first half.
This time Ludlam goes up, and this time he takes it, and a lovely little move for Van Vuuren brings in Naira Voro in, back against the grain and working it into the blind side. And they go back open now again. Alex Coles it was who took it on.
Josh van der Fleer again.
But yet another knock on from the Northampton Saints in the 22, and van der Fleer is the one who comes away with it and gets it out to Gary Ringrose. And for the first time in a few minutes, Leinster get their hands on the ball properly and are able to move with it. They tried to run it out of the 22, but Ringrose wasn't successful. Stopped, and Ed Byrne is the one who carries it and gains a yard or two as they work it back towards the centre of the pitch. Luke McGrath now going back to the right, finds Ross Byrne, and Henshaw now is only able to gain a yard or so. Stopped by Ratuni Arawa. McGrath prepares to kick, still just inside his 22, can send it straight into touch if he wants Tom Collins is guiding it out. And it's going to be a line out to Northampton Saints just inside the Leinster half of the pitch. More brilliant work though from Josh van der Fleer, as we saw there, just getting in his hands on the ball and just ripping it out and moving away with it.
He's a machine. He just keeps going, relentless, keeps going all day. Whether he's turning the ball over, big carries, or working back off a line break to make a difference. The energy, and you know, people live off that energy. They see the work he puts in, and it gives everyone else a lift. They want to do it. They want to get on board with Josh and work as hard as he is. And he does that in training week to week.
What happens if and when Dan Levy returns to full fitness? Because I think for the last couple of years, just the way it had fallen, that when Dan Levy really hit his peak a couple of years ago in that Grand Slam run, Josh van der Fleer was obviously out with his own awful knee injury. I don't think we've had too much of a period where both of those players have been fit and available to Leinster and Ireland at the same time. Are you squeezing both into the same team, one at 6, one at 7?
I think you'd have to, with Jack Conan back as well, but then, you know, Rhys Ruddock, the form he's shown, he's been incredible even during the World Cup, when perhaps the form of the Irish team wasn't as where people expected it to be. Rhys Ruddock was one guy who played exceptionally well. So, you know, but the team just in every position is littered with absolute quality. Whoever's coming on is as good as the person who's starting, to be honest.
They have a decent bit of depth, in fairness, don't they?
They do, yeah. It's a nice old headache for Leo Cullen to have, and then obviously Andy Farrell now when the Six Nations rolls around.
Leinster about to make the last of their changes here at the next break of play. Rob Carney is ready to go on the sideline. Tupai now. That's a good tackle from James Treacy. Stops Alex Coles. And James Ryan with a big tackle there. Piers Francis now with his hands on the ball, but that's a loose pass. Tom Collins does well to pick it up though, and Gary Ringrose gets in and stops him. As Tupai now goes back towards the right hand side of the pitch, and Josh van der Fleer gets in over it and slows it down. Tupai sends it right to Grayson. Northampton still inside their own half at the moment, just going through some phases, short carries. Grayson now gets it out to Piers Francis, and Piers Francis finds Matt Proctor, who's done ever so well to just shake off a couple of tackles. Doesn't gain a lot of ground, but does stay upright. And Grayson, and that's a great hit by Dave Carney, who hasn't really seen a lot of ball this afternoon, but has made a couple of very telling contributions in defence. And Northampton going nowhere. Tom Collins very slow to get up after that hit from Dave Carney. Ratuni Arawa now with another short burst, but is stopped. Grayson and James Lowe steps up into the line and puts a lot of pressure on Proctor, and Northampton slowly going backwards, it has to be said, despite this continued run of phases. On the far side of the pitch, Tupai put it out to Chris Wood, or Tom Wood I should say. Tom Wood, and finds Grayson. Paul Hill with the latest to carry it up. And some patience from Northampton, and that pays off, because eventually Piers Francis is the man to make a short little break and gain his way up towards the halfway line. But brilliant patience on the other side from Leinster, who just soaked up the pressure. And in the end, I think it was Tom Collins who was called for a high tackle, seatbelt challenge, as he tried to clear out over Piers Francis, and Leinster of a penalty right on the halfway line on this near side of the pitch.
Yeah, another incredible defensive set there by Leinster. They defended so well. Northampton actually going back each time they carried the ball, just going back and going back. So I'm not sure if it's come down to, you know, we spoke about the body language. Obviously Leinster changed 17 players from that win against Lyon when they played Glasgow last week. It really does make a difference in terms of giving guys, you know, going into a game fresh. Northampton had a tough Premiership game against Leicester, which they played very well in and won. But then to back it up again today, maybe it looks like Leinster do have a bit more energy in the tank.
They just look fresher, Mike. You know, like you were saying, and I know it's a cliche, but they really do look.
Look
like
who's
they
back,
have...
Mike. Look who's back.
Oh, my favourite player.
Devin Toner's back on the pitch, because unfortunately James Ryan
He's on the wing.
Is he going to the right wing?
They decided not to bring Rob Kearney on. They bring Dev back on instead. But James Rhino is walking off the pitch a little bit gingerly. Looks like he's kind of carrying his arm a bit awkwardly. Maybe gets a stinger on the shoulder. But Devin Toner back on now.
Looking a bit stiff
for the remaining 6.5 minutes of this game, as Rob Kearney still waits to come on. James Treacy finds his man though.
Dev Toner's got his chance to get his first European try now.
Finds Scott Fardy in the lineout. And Luke McGrath sends it out to Robbie Henshaw. Piers Francis swallows Henshaw up. And Tom Wood now with the tackle on Tyg Furlong, but Furlong does well to get into the Northampton 22. Max Deegan gains a yard or so. Centre of the pitch here. Leinster looking to finish things off with a 6th try this afternoon. And Devin Toner has it now, and Mike McCarthy's getting very excited. I mean, he only gained about half a metre. He still probably had about 11 or 12 to go before he would get to the try line. But Leinster on the far side of the pitch now. Ed Byrne carries it on a yard or so. James Treacy gets in over him. Luke McGrath sends it out to Max Deegan, who's tackled well by Timana Harrison. Harrison now, and Tyg Furlong with a strong carry. And Tom Wood does well to stop him and only give him up half a yard or so. Scott Fardy goes again. Ratuni Arawa brings him to ground. Luke McGrath dummied, but eventually gave it to Ed Byrne, and and James Treacy now with a short little carry. Scott Fardy with Tyg Furlong in support. Fardy gets to within 2-3 metres from the line. Luke McGrath to the right to Ross Byrne and James Lowe. 1 try already this afternoon. And Devin Toner gets in and clears them out of the way. Treacy now opts not to stand in a scrum half, but gets over it again, and Ed Byrne looks like he's going to take one more drive to the right. And the latest there, Quaylen Doris looked like he went for it. Luke McGrath, he's got Dave Kearney and Gary Ringles outside. Luke McGrath dives for the line, and Luke McGrath gets over a short burst from the scrum half. And Leinster have their 6th try of the afternoon. Luke McGrath diving over from close range. 75 minutes played here, and Leinster lead conversion to come against Northampton Saints by 36 points to 16.
Yeah, Leinster just looks so clinical when they've got the ball. They're so patient. If they're not getting over the gain line, if they're not winning the first few inches, they just stay patient. You know, they keep going, they keep building. They don't try and give a 50-50 away, and then eventually they get over the line. A great little snipe there by Luke McGrath, just diving over, putting the game out of reach now with only kind of 3 minutes left.
They're so good, Leinster, especially when they get into that 22. They really ramp things up. They go from gear to gear, pretty sharpish, and obviously Northampton are pretty tired, and they just can't live with the physicality. Backs and forwards, you wouldn't know whatever numbers on your back.
Yeah, Northampton just look completely out on their feet. Really struggling to play at this pace that Leinster are bringing, both in attack and defence. And for Leinster now, only a couple of minutes left on the clock. I'm sure the page will have to be turned pretty quick when they meet up on Monday, and they'll start looking back to 2013 when a week's a long time in rugby, and Northampton will really be hurting after this, and they'll have a tough review. And can Leinster now back it up at the Aviva against a home crowd where they're expected to win and win well?
I think that is the question. Obviously Leinster firmly in the driving seat in this pool now, as Ross Byrne prepares to take this conversion on the far right touchline. A difficult kick for a right footer, and Ross Byrne never really connected with it. It was never on target, and the score stays 36-16 with 2.5 minutes left to play at Franklin's Gardens. But as we were saying, do Northampton have it in them? Have you seen enough from them this afternoon to suggest that they can go to the Aviva next week and put Leinster in a bit of trouble?
Oh well, they definitely can. History tells us they can, because we saw it in 2013, and that will give them belief, knowing as poorly as they've played today. They'll talk about that. They'll say, we can turn it around. And Leinster are complacent in any way, they could be turned over, but I very much doubt that will be the case.
Devin Toner with another carry there, getting another 2 or 3 yards as Leinster work their way back into the Northampton half. Less than 2 minutes now left to play. Tyg Furlong with a short carry, and the Saints don't roll away. Tom Wood, the man who was penalised. walking back the 10, and a chance for Ross Byrne to send it back down into the corner and potentially get Leinster's 7th try of the afternoon and round things off really in style before we head back to Dublin next week.
Pretty incredible to think they're going for their 7th try away at Franklin's Gardens, playing top of the Premiership side in Northampton.
Elsewhere at the moment, Leon about to pick up their first win of the campaign. 28 points to nil they lead. 28 points to nil they lead Benetton. 4 tries in the bag, so a bonus point win sealed for them. They're just rounding off 80 minutes in this pool. Obviously the big game tonight, guys, Munster against Saracens at Thomond Park. That game getting underway at 5:30 as Leinster, James Treacy finds Devin Toner, and Leinster just spin that maul, and the Northampton Saints look like they've driven through it well, but Luke McGrath reacts quickly and gets his hands on the ball and breaks out, and Tyg Furlong jumps over a tackle, and Devin Toner gets in on top of him. McGrath now finds Ed Byrne for a short yard or two. Leinster just 10 out from the Northampton Saints try line. McGrath going back to the right to Tyg Furlong, who thought about throwing a wild pass to the right but didn't do it, and Gary Ringrose now has found space and gets towards 5 metres out. Another short carry, and Luke McGrath has it right on this near touchline. Max Deegan tackled well by Van Veek. Jordan Larmer, who's had an outstanding game so far. Ed Byrne throws a little dummy, and it's been sold, and he gets over the line. And has he got the ball down? He has. It's another try for Leinster. Try number 7. A beautiful little dummy from Ed Byrne, around 4 or 5 metres out from the try line. One of the Northampton players just bought it perfectly, and he had just enough space and just enough room to get towards the try line and touch it down. And with the last play of the game, Ross Byrne is going to have a conversion attempt to make this a 43-16 win.
It's the footwork from the Leinster forward pack compared to, you see these heavy guys like the second row, the back row, Tamana Harrison for Northampton. They're just straight, whereas Ed Byrne, James Ryan, even Dev, Max Deegan, they're putting on footwork like centres would, and it's so tough for the defence to comprehend.
Yeah, there's a couple of things in the DNA there that Stuart Lancaster certainly changed when he took over. The defence was a big part of it. Defending with the 2 wingers up in the line rather than defending back, so allows you to get more width, more spacing, more to get more go forward.
And this time Ross Byrne's conversion is successful, straight between the posts. What a victory for Leinster. They have beaten the Northampton Saints here by 43 points to 16. 7 tries for the 4-time European champions. Ed Byrne, Luke McGrath, Ross Byrne, Cian Healy, Andrew Porter, Rhys Ruddock and James Lowe all scoring as Leinster pull away with it brilliantly in the second half and seal a bonus point victory. Guys, we've very little time before we go back to the studio, but just to quickly sum up, an outstanding result for Leinster.
Yeah, incredible. 7 tries away from home at Franklin's Gardens. Top of the Premiership, Northampton are, and it's a great performance. And that performance was factored in by the foundation the forwards laid. Really good play by the forwards, the scrum, the maul was really good, and a great defensive effort. Completely keep knocking Northampton back from where they were coming from. And Northampton just got frustrated, and frustration couldn't get anywhere. Incredible performance. Can they back it up now next week at the Aviva?
Yeah, to follow on what Mike said, I completely agree. And that defence, they just look so comfortable in defence, even when Northampton are playing their big power plays. And then in attack, they just have. I thought Jordan Larmer was outstanding going forward today. I think he made 3 or 4 clean line breaks, set up a couple of tries, and James Lowe and Dave Carney had really good games as well. So I think it's set up for a cracker next week in the Aviva. Hopefully now Johnny, fingers crossed now, I think every Irish fan and Leinster fans hoping that Scam will bode some good results for him.
Yeah, and we'll bring you some reaction when we get it from Leo Cullen after this game. We'll be speaking to him in the next few minutes, and I'm sure we'll play it out for you before the end of the show tonight. But until then, guys, Mike and Brendan, thanks a million for joining us. You'll be able to hear more from Mike and Brendan on offtheball.com over the next day or so. I'll be speaking to them in minutes time. Get ready for the hot takes. But until then, guys, we're going to go back to the studio and to John Duggan.
Thanks very much, Neil, Mike and Brandon.